Hey, how's everyone doing?
Are we recording? Are we recording?
Yes, we are
Okay,
recording. How's
done.
everyone doing? Hello.
Hello.
Hey,
Yo, yo,
guys.
yo. Yo, yo. Welcome to another
Hey, hey,
episode.
hey.
Today we are shut the fuck up. Let me do the intro. Why do you have to interrupt me
Why
doing
are you
the
not
intro?
acknowledging my cap?
Oh, I'm
Cap
going
guy's
to.
back.
I'm going to. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today we have Mr. Dhanda and Mr. Cap slash Mr. Macro. We are back once again to discuss what happened on crypto Twitter this week. Akshay, what fresh flavor of grumpiness have you brought for us today?
I'm,
Please
I'm
explain.
actually pretty happy because I got to spend a weekend with some close friends. I went and had the opportunity to watch the F1 race in Singapore, and I did a lot of non-crypto. I went out and touched the grass and bought a cap. So I'm actually not as grumpy this week.
All right, let's get to it. Our first tweet, Cash. What are we discussing?
All right,
We're discussing our first tweet today. We're discussing XNFT. You want to share your screen and show the fucking tweets, or do you want?
Last time you yelled at me for sharing my screen before the intro was done. Now the intro is can't win in this fucking game. All right, so we're starting off with the cool category. That plays the music. All right.
Only Cash cares about this category thing. Okay.
I like the little sound.
Yeah, cash.
I like the
We have
music
an
that Danny
Excel
puts
sheet
in.
where Cash puts like cool, WTF, whoa, like he puts all this.
All right, so this is the first cool tweet of the week. Our buddies over at Coral raised 20 mil from FTX and Jump Crypto to build Backpack. And then, to make it even more cool, the Backpack beta is officially live. You got to get an invite code. They have a waiting room. They have some like little games going on in there. I did indeed get through the waiting room. I'm very proud to say. And the Backpack has Solana and Ethereum.
Why didn't we know this?
How did
Sucks to
you
suck.
get it?
Sucks to suck, man.
Is it good? Can you show us?
Can you give us an invite code?
There's not a lot to see right now. This thing, it's basically just contains.
Are you going to
Solana
get banned
involved.
if you show us something?
I'm not sure, like if they want it out there publicly yet.
I think we should find out.
अक्षय सीधे सीधे शब्दों में बोले तो कैश की ना गंडवा फट रही है ठीक है अक्षय उसको बताना मत लेकिन उसकी गंडवा फट रही है कि अरमानी आके ना पिछवाड़े में ना ऐसा झाड़ू घुसाएगा ना ऐसा लगेगा कि साला मोर नाच रहा है ठीक है Cash, did you get any of that?
I did not, and I don't love the fact that I'm being bullied on this podcast in a language I don't understand.
Is it even a Monday if there hasn't been a crypto hack?
Thankfully, this doesn't count as well. I guess there was a hack in here as well, but basically, somebody did some MEV, which is maximal extractable value or minor extractable value. They made 800 ETH inside of like 10 seconds, basically, and then an hour later, they lost 1,100 ETH to a hack here.
How do you lose stuff you don't even have?
So basically, what ended up happening here was that some very poor soul tried to swap out $1.8 million in CUSDC, which is Compound's kind of wrapped version of USDC. You deposit USDC into Compound, you get CUSDC, which accumulates the interest and so forth. Normally, the way you convert that back to USDC is you just go back to Compound and deposit it in. For whatever reason, the person who had this 1.8 million decided to go to Uniswap and actually swap this out for USDC. You know what happened as a result? They only got out $500. They put in 1.8 million, left with 500. That's right. Brutal.
Fuck.
Absolutely brutal. And then as a result of that, anytime there are these kind of like massive problems on chain, MEV arises, right? So effectively what happened here is that somebody tried to swap on Uniswap. They had basically infinite slippage, which means they were willing to pay any price. They just wanted the trade to go through. And that created a bunch of slippage, with this MEV bot then took advantage of. So it backran that transaction and was able to sell off all that CUSDC to the tune of about 800 ETH in profit, which is I think like $1.2 million.
That's nuts.
It's the craziest thing because, again, these are all like bot strategies. So whoever runs this bot just like woke up one day and saw that they had made 1.2 million off this MEV opportunity. But then, because they made all this money on the MEV, there was a lot of attention on this bot and its contracts. Somebody else went and saw those contracts and saw that there was a bug in there that basically allowed anybody to come and withdraw funds from that wallet. So because it did the hack and it got 800 ETH, it would then had a big public profile. And then because it had a big profile, it got immediately attacked for 1100 ETH. So it lost the 800 it made from the ARB plus the other 300 that was in there from previous ARB stuff. Real quick thing on the state of NFTs. Thought this was cool. So there's been a lot of stuff on Twitter, especially like in mainstream Twitter, around how NFT volumes are down like 95 to 99%. 97 is what Bloomberg said in a recent post, that monthly volume was down 97%. The truth is volumes are down bad, but not necessarily that bad. We'll link to this Twitter thread. Obviously, you can check out the data for yourself. But basically, Bloomberg's fault here was that they didn't exclude the wash trading that happens across a lot of NFT exchanges. Nansen and these other data providers are able to identify. This is the actual, if you don't take out wash trading, it looks like there was 763,000 ETH traded. In reality, that was only 340.
What the fuck is wash trading? You keep saying wash trading like I know what that is.
So wash trading is basically when you trade something with yourself in order to generate fake transaction volume. There was a lot of accusations of this back in the early days of NFTs for good reason. It was happening all the time. I minted NFT.
You only sell you only set the floor price. You keep changing wallets and you do it. Yeah.
That's right. I mint a photo of Thunmei. I sell it to myself for $10. Then I sell it back to myself for $100. Then I sell it for $1,000 to myself. And now Thunmei's photo is worth $1,000 in theory. So Akshay found this tweet right here.
Juno was a team that built a product from India and shipped it to consumers in the US. And unlike an exchange that is built on crypto rails and has an off-ramp to your bank, this is being built on the banking rails and has crypto layered on top of it, which means, for example, elect to receive your salary in USDC and Bitcoin, as an example, right? As soon as the salary hits your bank account, it gets instantly converted to USDC and BTC into. It's basically a banking app and your crypto app are the same app. It also makes your USDC in your crypto app and the USD in your banking app fungible. So you can spend your USDC just like you do your banking dollars with your Visa card. They were funded by several prominent angels and a bunch of funds like Mithril Capital, etc. They have now raised a new round. Congratulations to that team because they've been really working hard to find product market fit, and I think they definitely have. And so this is an exciting new thing for them. It's probably the best crypto app I've used. Okay. So what happened was Anatoly was having a debate with one of the researchers over at Scroll. And they're having a debate about what constitutes decentralization. And I think the Scroll guy was basically saying, you can't run a Solana node at your home. And Anatoly was saying, well, it doesn't matter because most people don't run Ethereum nodes either. And they were having a conversation on what true decentralization means and how to have a trust minimized network. And then while they were doing that, Anushk from Superteam went and said, can we have all three of you on the podcast? This was intellectually entertaining, and tagged me. And I said, would love to if they're agreeable. Here's a link to the podcast. Then C-Note said he, she, they will be happy to do it. And then I tagged the other two, Anatoly and Togrul. They both said yes. And so now we're going to have a podcast co-moderated with C-Node and have Anatoly and Togrul go at it on what decentralization means.
Yeah, listen, I am too dumb to be on this episode. So I will sit it out with all due respect to everybody involved.
Then we have to have you just so you can ask the questions that everybody watching will have on their mind.
What is Node? Can someone tell what Node is? I cannot. This is embarrassing for everyone.
Last thing in cool this week. Very excited to say that Cosmos has launched or has announced a major upgrade to the ecosystem. Cosmos is very cool in general. Their approach is like, hey, we should have app-specific chains. And Cosmos is just kind of like the layer 0 that connects all these different layer 1s, right? The problem with this is that their token, Atom, ATOM, had no way of actually like accruing value. It was basically just like a speculative token on the overall ecosystem, which is not great. So now they're re-releasing it, or they're releasing an evolution of it that they call it Cosmos 2.0. Basically, this is the way that Cosmos can kind of work going forward, right? Each zone is its own independent blockchain. It can have its own validators. It can have its own everything, right? It's fully its own. And then using something called IBC, they're allowed to talk between blockchains really easy. So if you build on top of Cosmos, you effectively have an inbuilt bridge. that you can send tokens back and forth for, which is pretty cool. But now going forward, what they're also introducing, interchain security provider, where basically if you're running out your own app chain and you don't want to spin up your own validators, because that's really hard to do, you got to convince people to give you server space, it's expensive, etc. You can effectively rent them from other people on the Cosmos ecosystem. And to do that, you need Atom, basically. What this all means is Atom is trying something new, which is great. It's very easy to get complacent and not do anything new, but they're trying something new, and hopefully they're designing their token in a way that it accrues more value. There's already a lot of cool projects in the Cosmos ecosystem, like Osmosis, like DYDX now. So worth paying attention to.
Okay, no, forget Cosmos. I want to know about the Solana the Solana outage thing that happened this week. Why did it actually happen? Cash, I remember you texting a thread.
Yes.
Saying this exactly explains it. So can you explain this, please? Can you explain this like I'm 35 years old?
Like you're 35 years old. Unfortunately, since I'm only 31, I cannot. But I would say anybody that's in the Solana ecosystem should go follow Lane over at StakeWiz. They do the best threads, like explaining all sorts of things, including Solana outages. Here's effectively what happened, right? It was a code bug. And it's notable that it's a code bug because in the past, every time Solana has crashed, and it has crashed a few times, is because of spam attacks. Basically, there's too many people trying to use the network at the same time. And then just to be safe, it just shuts off. That's not what this was. Basically, what ended up happening was a validator was running two instances at the same time. They pushed forward both of those at the same time. Half of the other validators went to one, the other half went to the other, basically. And then there was a bug in the validator code that wouldn't let them switch over to the dominant blockchain. So Solana, because it optimizes for security over liveness, right? You want it to make sure that it's right, even if it's not working. They said, well, hey, there's this kind of fuck up right now. Let's just shut everything down. Automatically, this happens. It's not like Tolly is pressing a button, right? But it shuts down automatically. And as a result, they had to figure out which chain was longer. They put it back together and then they restarted afterwards. So it's a weird, obscure code bug in like the validator configuration. It seems like it was probably accidental that this happened.
But still, like, it sucks that it even happened, right? Like, because the narrative is just stronger now.
There's no sugarcoating it. It's like a major bummer when Solana goes down. Like, we love Solana, but it sucks. It just sucks.
Yeah, and I think if this happens enough times, it will dissuade people from building things that have massive value locked into them, because you don't want to risk that amount of value, especially if it depends on transactions being sent in a time-sensitive manner, which is sort of what Solana's purpose built for.
So can devs do something?
So the devs are doing something. So shout out to Jump. They're releasing a new validator client. I think it's called Fire Dancer.
Yeah.
So one of the problems is that there's only one client for validators in the Solana ecosystem right now. So if there's a bug with that one validator client, then the whole network is fucked, right? Because everyone is using the same thing. That's in contrast to like Ethereum, where I think they have 3 or 4 different validator clients, if I'm not mistaken. Now that Jump is releasing another one, that should help things, right? You just kind of have diversified risk, that different validators are running different configurations, and hopefully that kind of prevents this thing in the future.
Shout out to Kanav and Jump. End में India only solves problem, bro. See, this is why I don't want to be on that podcast with all the Giga Brain guys, because I'll end up saying dumb shit like this only.
Kim Kardashian, our girl, immediately wrecked.
Please speak for yourself.
What is our girl? What? Anyway, the SEC came after Kim Kardashian, guys. She was touting some crypto asset on social media. The security offered and sold by Ethereum Max without disclosing the payment she received for the promotion. Basically, उसने hashtag ad नहीं डाला. ठीक है.
The next tweet is actually in a similar vein, and this is in a more serious vein. Like, if you're listening to Kim Kardashian for crypto advice, then like, you deserve what you get. Like, don't listen to those kind of people. But here's another tip. Don't listen to anybody else. Do not listen to crypto influencers about buying and selling tokens. Zach XBT, who is like maybe my favorite account on all of goddamn Twitter, just did a giant investigation into the Crypto Lark. The Crypto Lark has 1 million Twitter followers and a bunch more elsewhere, 486,000 over here. So you can see tons and tons of audience. And not surprisingly, every time that Lark was given or was promoting a token, he was also being paid to promote it and was instantly dumping.
Allegedly.
This is less, here's the facts, my guy. February 9th, 4 p.m., they received this much. And 4 hours later,
allegedly received so much. This is not proven in a court of law. So just use allegedly. What's the
Allegedly,
problem? We don't have a. Can we afford a lawsuit?
we can barely afford hats. I don't think we can afford a lawsuit. So yeah, maybe allegedly they did this over and over again. And again, this is all on chain, so you can see this happening in real time. Allegedly. The cool thing here is that Zach XBT is like Sherlock Holmes for crypto. I think it's a he, is just going through on-chain records and finding these kind of damning facts all throughout. So it's just like example after example. And then as soon as that came out, there was another person getting caught. And then as soon as it came out, Not So Fast pointed out that CryptoLark, the main address, just dumped every single thing that Lark had ever shilled and just tried to get that last dollar before the door closed, basically. For anyone who hasn't seen, Credit Suisse and Deutsche Bank are very much in the crypto Twitter news this week. Both are just getting hammered with stock
That
prices.
meme is pretty funny. That meme is funny. Should they do they change the name to Debit Suisse after this? No? Yeah, I'll.
But yeah, you can see that their stock price is going down, and CDSs, which are basically the cost of insurance that people are taking out to be like, hey, if Credit Suisse defaults, like we want to hedge that risk. The price of that insurance has gone up astronomically, as you can see on this chart right here. So people are very worried that it's going to fail. The CEO came out yesterday and was like, hey, don't worry. Like, we have plenty of equity to cover things. We're definitely going to be solvent. Like, just kind of trust me. For one, this is definitely alleged. There's no like evidence that they're going to crash or anything like that, but it is possible that they blow up, and Credit Suisse is massive. Like, they have like billions and billions and billions in exposure. But I think from a crypto perspective, what is cool here, their CEO said that they have a strong capital base and liquidity position. There's no way to know, right? Traditional finance, you have to rely on the guys and girls in the boardrooms who tell you what they have. Versus in DeFi,
That's
it's on
true.
chain.
Unlike crypto, where we could all sit together with popcorn and watch Three Arrows Capital get liquidated on chain. So
right.
much better. Best part about crypto, you can watch rich people fuck up publicly and enjoy it from your house. So apparently the Celsius CEO withdrew $10 million from the firm weeks before they froze all customers' accounts. But then I read somewhere else that he withdrew for some tax reasons and not because he wanted to keep it or something else.
That is certainly the story that they're using to explain why he had to pay state and local taxes or something like that. I mean, maybe that is true. It does seem like a little suspicious to me. Like, did he have $10 million in taxes? Maybe he did. I don't know. But to do it right before, like just a few weeks before they had to shut down and declare bankruptcy is suspicious timing, if nothing else.
Do you trust him?
It smells very fishy to me. Allegedly, I would say this. Like,
It's a show where, what is the podcast about? Yeah, it's actually a show where we just pull up tweets about things that happened that we don't know the facts about, and we speculate on what may have happened.
Yes,
that's our favorite part of the show.
Yeah.
Welcome to crypto Twitter. That is the whole point of crypto Twitter. Just a funny thing around Loot. Do you guys remember Loot, the NFT project from last year?
Yeah, bro. I remember this was so hyped. There was a Solana equivalent version of this also. Loot was started to be like, oh, this is the beginning of the next Marvel. Imagine the things you can build on top of Loot, right?
Yeah,
just a bunch of text. And what's happened to it now?
So indeed, like, just for anyone who doesn't know, Loot was literally just a bunch of text. It was like about whatever this is, 8 words or 8 lines on effectively a blank document. This specific one here with the Divine Robe sold for $620,000 at the peak of the bull market. Right now, the best bid is $1,000 for 8 lines of text. Pretty brutal. But I think that it's worth talking about because the Loot idea is genuinely very cool, right? Let's just create basic IP that anyone can build on top of. There's something like actually interesting there, and NFTs that could be a real use case for them. However, I think Loot was too decentralized too early. And that's kind of like the lesson. They just kind of put this thing out into the world and said, hey, everybody else, you guys go build on top of it. But one of the things that we've seen, whether it's with Loot or whether it's with DAOs that were overly decentralized, is that it is very difficult to coordinate people to actually accomplish something if you are so decentralized. So I think for me, at least, one of the lessons from Loot, very cool concept, great marketing job, but be wary of too much decentralization too early.
In hindsight, Loot was the top of the musical chairs game, right? Like someone's made a tweet right below this tweet saying Loot might be the top of the NFT market. It's the epitome of speculation. People are paying $34,000 for text like Divine Robe of Power, hoping something will be built in the future. Like, that does sound funny in hindsight. Anyway, I was never an NFT flipping guy myself, so
Divine slippers. लेके तेरे को मारूंगा मैं.
this is like a gully gang slipper, like slipper.
The divine thupper coming
What?
your way.
This is
Why? What are these references? What is even?
divine.
Are you? This is the wrong channel. Wrong channel.
I thought you would get it, Akshay. I thought you would at least understand divine.
I got it.
You got it? Did you get
I
it?
got it. Yeah, I even made a little divine thupper joke, which I thought was pretty, pretty solid, right?
Divine Papa joke.
Divine
Thupper.
thupper.
Tupper.
Anyway,
Oh my God.
moving on.
Podcast is a fucking train wreck.
This, I don't even know if we're going to include this, but I laughed a lot when I saw this. So CZ, CEO of Binance, just crossed 7 million followers on Twitter. And then he tweeted saying, I am not smart. I am not good looking. I don't have money. I am not good at most things. I bond people together. And even though I am bad at socializing too, thank you for your support and follow. I can tell by your faces you guys didn't find this as funny as I did, but just to start off, I am not smart. I am not good looking. That was so funny.
Bro, just a thanks for following would have been fine. मैं अच्छा नहीं हूँ. क्यों मुझे follow कर रहे हो? Like, why is this?
Yeah, so this is the last tweet of the day here. This is from Parag. I found this one as well, so shout out to Parag. David Schneider said, every wave of cryptocurrency enthusiasm has had an underlying prompt. The first was, what is money online? Then, what is art online? And then David is suggesting the next is, who am I online? So identity as the basis for the next generation of dApps that go mainstream. What do you guys think of this?
I really like this tweet.
I like this tweet.
I like it as well.
Yeah, cause see the behavior for something like this exists, but it already exists. But there's still no like infrastructure for a pseudonymous life online is not yet quite there yet. So it feels like, yeah, this next wave is gonna be it.
And it's not just pseudonymous, right? It's also like the unbundling of your person. Like, for instance, like Tanmay is on the main channel a gamer comedian, on the second channel like a public intellectual, I guess. On this third channel, I don't know, the crypto trillionaire. So
Genius.
so it's like it's unbundling your identity, your person into several identities and having like an on-chain record of all those identities, which I think is pretty cool with which you can do with crypto. I haven't seen any tools that have achieved this yet, but you can see DAOs trying to credential its members and giving them like soulbound tokens or other types of NFTs that allow them to, show their proof of work or whatever else that they're trying to do. That I think will catalyze sort of like this these digital spaces that you can only access if you have certain credentials or your identity matches certain requirements, right? That's very interesting, I think.
I think what is so cool is that one of the promises of crypto and Web3 in general is the portability and the ownership of data, right? Like who you are online in Web2 is really just like a map of what Facebook posts have you liked, what tweets have you retweeted, et cetera, right? But they're all kind of siloed off and they're not really portable with you. And so your identity is fragmented in all these different places that you're not able to access without permission. So I think that like those kinds of data plays in the next cycle are going to be really interesting. We're thinking about this with Superteam Earn as well. Like how do we collect all of your on-chain activity in a way that allows people to understand how much of a crypto native you actually are? Because once you have that portable reputation, that portable identity, you can do all sorts of very fun things. You might splinter it off into multiple personalities. You might find new earning opportunities that were never available before. Or you might, do even crazier things that we can't think of because the cycle hasn't happened yet.
If you're still around watching the podcast, do drop a comment, do hit the like button. Let us know if you're enjoying the new and improved Superteam podcast. And let us know if you are good looking or smart. Or have fiat money. See you on the next episode. Bye. I just think that the sentence "I bond people together" it's just a risky sentence for people. That's all I'm saying. I tie people up together. I lock them in a room together. I'm not a people person.
Bro, Tanmay doesn't even need the 14 audience members. He's happy enough just doing this for himself.
I kidnap people, but I'm not socializing.
Can you have negative viewership? Is that possible?
Oh my god! I just think I bond people together is a weird flex, but okay. Like,
can people unwatch a video? Like, can they? You know what I mean?